Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Niladri Mukherjee and I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I practice here in Guelph, Ontario. So what repercussion will it have on your study permit application if you have or if you had an express entry profile? Because this is a very common situation these days, because all we know is that the express entry draws have been non-existent, and even if a draw comes out in the spring or in the summer or whatever, the score is going to be definitely up of in the upwards of 480 or something. So a lot of you that are sitting in the range of maybe 450, 470, that close, you are all considering to come to Canada as a student and then eventually get your Canadian permanent residency and of course apply for a citizenship. So this is a very crucial situation in my opinion, because you had an express entry profile, which is by virtue of which you are basically implying that your purpose of coming to Canada or your intention to coming to Canada is permanent. But if you apply for a study permit after having an express entry profile, regardless of the fact whether the express entry profile has been expired or you delete that or whatever, because the government would still have your data stored in the system for the next few years at least, right? So what impact will it have? Should you delete the profile? If the profile is expired, should you let the profile expire and then wait for a while and apply for a study permit or not? Generally speaking, and obviously it varies from case to case, but most generally speaking, you can come to Canada on a temporary basis even if you have an express entry profile, which means that you could have dual intention as well. Your intent of coming to Canada is most important here, right? Because express entry, you have created an express entry profile, which means that you have shown your commitment towards the Canada by spending money on your language test, by spending money on your educational assessment. You have taken out the time. You might have paid for a legal representative as well, and you have taken out your time and have created an express entry profile. But there is no draw for the last 1.5 years, right? So now your intention could change, because now that you have realized that I may not be able to come to Canada on as a permanent resident. So your intention, because life changes, intention could change as well. Now your intention is to come to Canada as a student, study the course, get yourself a Canadian degree and go back home at the end of your stay. As always, you do not have to go back home at the end of your stay if you don't want to, which is why the government is also giving you something called post-graduation work permit. But as we all know, in that process of study permit application, this is that part of the law wherein you have to lie quite intentionally and quite frankly, right? You know that you are not going back to Canada, yet you have to prove that you will leave Canada at the end of the stay. So as long as you are able to prove that you will leave Canada at the end of the stay, as long as you are able to prove in that study permit application that the purpose of this application is quite temporary, that your intent is temporary, you should not have any problem along with an express entry profile, regardless of the fact whether you just delete the profile or you have a profile or it's an expired profile. It does not and it should not have an impact if your application for study permit is strong. I could tell you at least 65 to 70% of the clients study permit that I deal with, they have or they had an express entry profile sometime in the future. Yet their study permits get approved because the application is strong enough. Now, regardless of whom you end up working with, you end up working with me or the best lawyer in the world, it's you that really makes a difference, right? So if your profile for potential study in Canada is strong, and if you end up working with somebody that knows how to deal with the law, how to deal with the regulations, you'll end up making in Canada, right? But this is a very important step for you before you apply for a study permit. Just focus on, if you're doing it on your own, you have to really strategize your case. You really have to, before even reaching out to those colleges, before getting those admission letters, before spending money on the registration process or whatever, it's really very important, in my opinion, at least for most of you, to understand, to figure out how do you really want to strategize the case, what kind of what kind of submission letter you will end up writing, or what kind of LOE or your supporting documents you will attach, right? Because that really makes or breaks. And do remember, if you already have an express entry profile and if you're applying for a study permit, and if that study permit gets refused, it will be very difficult for you to get study permit one more time, even if you go for a judicial review, even if you do a reconsideration, even if you reapply. So make sure you do the things right. So whether you can or not, yes, legally you're very much allowed to have dual intention. That needs to be mentioned in the supporting that needs to be mentioned in the in the submission letter or in the letter of explanation. That needs to be proven in terms of your supporting documents, and you really have to build up a very solid case. If you do that, I don't see any reason as to why the study permit will be refused, right? If you need professional assistance, drop me a line, contact@novonation.ca. Shall be glad to connect. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.